on YouTube soon. We go live on YouTube first, then we go broadcast because YouTube's a bit late, so they'll show the bangon. So
Let
we're
my daughter.
live. We're live on YouTube.
Should I have
There
my
you go.
daughter?
Hey, there you go.
I drew that. She colored it. I'm the artist.
Oh, nice. Coach, all our artist friends, they've been in quarantine forever because
Yeah.
they work from home. So
Exactly.
it's like nothing changed for them. So, you know, if it's gonna take a while for coaching to come back, you can explore art, like make art
Yeah,
books or comic books.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll start broadcast so that the participants can come in. So there you go. They're trickling in. Again, we welcome you to our last session for tonight. And we're going to remind you of Blackwater's fundraising drive for the frontliners of Pasig City General Hospital. So, Bangon Pilipinas. So, we're supporting our frontliners, the heroes, and go to the Facebook, Instagram, and other social media of Blackwater. And you can also go to Hoop Coaches for the details on how you can help. So, we're waiting for a few more. And again, I'd like to thank Teddy for staying with me
You're
through this
welcome,
all.
coach. You're
And
welcome.
again, to the participants, to the attendees, to those that are registered, and those who are with us on YouTube Live. Again, good evening to all of you. Okay. All right. We'll be joined by a good friend of mine. I've connected with Coach Martin every time I visit LA during his time with the USC. So USC is very popular here in the Philippines, Coach, because most of the Filipinos are from Southern Cal. So we're elated and we're so happy to have you guest. So I'd like to introduce again Coach Martin. Is an assistant coach now of San Diego, University of San Diego. He was previously with Fairfield, Princeton, Georgetown, and USC before moving on as an assistant coach just this December and moving on. Again, now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Coach Martin Bahar. Good evening, Coach.
Good evening, fellas. How you guys doing?
Good, 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 good. So
Thanks.
you're looking good, Coach.
Thank
With,
you. Not as good as you.
I wish, I wish.
Say hello to.
That
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't have any gray still. That's
no, no, no. I don't have that George Clooney-esque look. So Teddy is our sports psychologist. You can also Doc Teddy holds clinics and he can also do online. So for those who want online consultation with Doc Teddy, you can uh, approach him or you can email him, and we'll have his information also at our Facebook page. All right, Coach, can you tell us more about yourself? I know I introduced you, but just a backgrounder and how you started to be a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be on here, and hello to everyone across Asia, and I'm really excited to be a part of this. And hello to Coach K, who's sitting behind Ariel right now in that picture. If you want to get your resume to Coach K, you just email Ariel right after this. So
That's my first coaching seminar, so it's up there.
Yeah, no question.
Very first.
Yeah. So my background is primarily in college basketball here in the United States. So when I went to college at Vanderbilt University, I worked for the team. I was a student manager. So that's everything from rebounding every day, practice preparation, laundry, all those little things that student managers do for these college teams. That was part of my experience at Vanderbilt. Summertime, I would work camps at other colleges. So when I was at Vanderbilt in the summer, I would go to University of Miami, Notre Dame, Georgetown, and worked camps to network, get to know people, kind of your traditional method of networking and communicating and meeting new people in college athletics at that time. During that process, my hometown, Washington, D.C., I got to know the staff at Georgetown well. Coach Thompson III was the head coach. Matt Henry was a good friend of mine. He was working there. Kevin Brodus, who's the head coach at Morgan State University. Sidney Johnson, who was a head coach at Princeton and Fairfield, who I joined later. So I networked essentially working camps, and I applied to grad school while I was a senior at Vanderbilt, and they kind of said at Georgetown, well, listen, if you get in, we can talk. They hadn't had a graduate assistant before. And so it was a shot in the dark. I applied for graduate school there, and I got in. And I don't think they expected too many people who want to be grad students to want to work for a basketball team while they're at Georgetown, but it worked out nice. And I had an opportunity to kind of join Coach Thompson III's staff in the midst of an ascension. And, one thing in coaching, a lot of this is luck in terms of when you get a job, in terms of who you hook on with and what they're looking for at what time. And honestly, I was lucky because at the right time of my career, Georgetown was coming off of a Sweet 16 appearance. My first year there, 06, 07, Jeff Green was a junior. Roy Hibbert was a junior. John Wallace was a junior point guard. DeJuan Summers was a freshman who eventually played in the NBA. So you had this incredible luck for me to get on at Georgetown. And that first season as a graduate assistant, they went to the Final Four. We went to the Final Four. And so really lucked out there. We had a great success at Georgetown. We won back-to-back regular seasons in the Big East. We won a Big East tournament. We also went to the Final Four, obviously, as I mentioned. And it was a great experience. And quite frankly, I was just lucky. Right place, right time. Got into school the right year where they needed some help in the office and in practice every day. And that's what we all as coaches have to kind of keep in the back of our minds. Your life can change quickly for the worse, but it can also change quickly for the better. So from Georgetown, Sidney Johnson, who was an assistant, had left for the Princeton head coaching job in 2007, I believe. And in 2009, after I'd finished the season as video coordinator at Georgetown, he offered me a job to join his staff. So I joined Sidney Johnson in 2009. I was on his staff for 2 years. We went to the NCAA tournament in 2011. And Sidney took the job at Fairfield, where I joined him. And Fairfield, we went from an Ivy League school to a MAC school. The MAC is a regional conference on the East Coast, and very good academic school, Jesuit school. And Sidney took that job, and I was with Sidney for 4 years. In the summer of 2015, after 4 years with Sidney, where we had some success, but also we had some failures at Fairfield. We had 2 really good years. We had 2 pretty bad years. So in the midst of that, I had an opportunity to go to University of Southern California, work for Andy Enfield. And it was honestly a lesser role than I was at Fairfield, but a level significantly higher. So again, you're in the coaching profession and you have these opportunities to grow and to develop. And it was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up on. My wife had gotten a great job in Los Angeles, so we packed up and moved across country for a job that wasn't as high up on the staff as it was at Fairfield or Princeton, but it was something I was really excited for, and I was happy for my wife, and we jetted across country. So from Georgetown, Princeton, Fairfield, coaching in the Princeton offense and learning all those intricacies, the style of play, Pete Carrill's system, obviously, which they brought to the Sacramento Kings for those amazing Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, Vlade Divac teams. Learning that system was really great. I mean, Coach Thompson III is just brilliant in terms of a basketball mind, in terms of knowing how to put his players in great situations, and then carrying that identity, to Princeton and then to Fairfield. So then you come out west, and it's Andy Enfield's pro style. And again, lucky. I didn't even know Andy when I got the job. I went out there and interviewed Jason Hart, who, by the way, his birthday is today. So everyone wish Jason Hart happy birthday on Twitter from Asia, please. Jason Hart, 10-year NBA vet, always talks about how he watched me walk into the office to interview for Andy just off the streets of South Figueroa. You know, I flew out there on my own and met with Andy for an hour, went well, and then a couple weeks later found out I got offered the job. And again, luck. You know, we all think that we're all special as coaches, and you know, we are, and to some extent. You know, it's a cutthroat profession, and there's so many people, exciting and intelligent and forward-thinking people who want to get in this profession. But sometimes you just need luck. I mean, and Andy liked my background for the role he wanted as director of scouting. He really valued my experiences, and he offered me a job, and so I joined there. 4 years at USC were incredible. Obviously, USC, Andy's system's fun, and we're going to talk about that today. It's basically focusing on ball screen offense, and we had a great point guard, Jordan McLaughlin, who I'm going to feature today, who's now in the NBA. Chimezi Metu reached the NBA. Kevin Porter Jr. reached the NBA, and then DeAnthony Melton, who was a top 150 recruit. You know, usually top 100 recruits all go high major. DeAnthony was top 150 and played his way into the NBA. He was a starter for Phoenix and a significant player next to Ja Morant now. So, and then in 2019, this past December, I left mid-season. And with Andy's blessing, but an opportunity at San Diego for Sam Scholl came up. And Sam is a really great guy, great father. He wanted me to take a bigger role at San Diego compared to USC. And I jumped at the opportunity, and here we are, quarantined in San Diego. I think you guys are laughing. I don't know.
Your topics about the pick and roll offense now counters, and basically it's we've had other speakers talk about it, so I think it will be best also for you to present also how the college teams runs it in the States.
Okay, can you repeat that question?
It will be interesting how the college teams ran the ball screen motion or pick and roll motion offense.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So should we get started here?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Share screen. We're live. You guys got me?
Yep. There you go.
You know, I think the most important thing when you're talking ball screens and pick and roll offense, you know, you got to have the orchestrator. You got to have the decision maker. And for us at USC, and honestly, this is about pick and roll offense, but it's also, to me, a tribute to Jordan McLaughlin, who completely changed our trajectory at USC when he committed and had 3 terrific years. And we'll look at his bio here down towards the end. But, you know, when you have a great decision maker, a high IQ player who's in those ball screen situations, anything's possible. And you completely put defenses in tough situations, possession after possession over the course of a game. You know, so, you know, when you talk about what is successful pick and roll decision making, you know, I think it's predicated on the ability for the ball handler, the guy with the basketball, to identify the taggers, the help side defenders, and his own teammates' locations on the court in any given situation. So anytime I have the basketball and I'm in a pick and roll, I'm coming off, I have to be able to examine 4, 5, 6 things at once in order to make the right pass or the right read for my shot or for somebody else's shot. You know, and essentially what that means is the defense is telling you what your decision making should be. So when I come off a ball screen, I'm thinking, and I'm taking a picture in my head, split-second images, every dribble, every half second, and I'm trying to decide where the ball should go. It might have to stay in my hands sometimes. Sometimes I might come off and I'm examining. It might be the roll man. Sometimes it might be that shake or that lift action behind me. Or if they help strong side, you might have to pitch it ahead. So you have all these decision makings every single time you come off of a ball screen. And it seems so simple when we watch NBA players play. But at the college level, it is really difficult to get guys to develop that. Now, McLaughlin was a savant, so that happened so easily for him, but he had to work at it and get better at it. You know, we went from his freshman year to his sophomore year, junior, senior. that was developed over time. And that's the important thing. The decision making is not easy, especially for the modern athlete. And when you think about it, I talk about this a lot. These guys are all training, and they have trainers in the off season, or they work with us. And a lot of times, what do drills end with? A shot. But when you're in a game and you're the pick and roll decision maker, it can't always end with your shot, because then, one, you're playing selfish basketball, but two, there's guys open here not throwing the ball to. So that's something we have to think about more in terms of training guys. It's always been on my mind, but when we're working out, when we're in the off season, every drill can't end with a shot, because when you get to the game and you've been trained to shoot every single time, like you did all summer, you're going to shoot every single time and not make the right reads. So just something, I'm getting off my stoop now, but just something that's been on my mind. It's something that I think is important when you're developing pick and roll decision making. When you're in the off season, every drill can't end with your guy shooting the ball. You might have to have your friends shoot a couple and you make the right reads, and that's okay if you're a player. Coming off of ball screens the right way is really important. We're going to talk about that, and there's multiple ways to do that. You want to compromise the defense, okay? So when you come off ball screens, if they're compromised and you make the right decisions, you can run the same play over and over and over again. And if you're making the right reads, everything moves more smoothly, and you can get in a flow. And obviously, as a point guard, keep everybody happy. One thing I loved is utilize your eyes. A concept I love is because you can deceive defenders without the ball being dribbled, being like you can deceive defenders with your eyes. And what I mean by that is you can make guys hold their tags longer. Okay, so when you're a pick and roll ball handler and you come off a ball screen, just by looking left, knowing you're going to go right, that shifts the defense for you to make a simpler pass or an easier pass. Or if you come off and you're examining and you're looking one way, but you know the guy in the other direction is open, you shift the defense over and you're able to make the right play. Utilize your eyes. That's a great concept, which I really enjoy talking about with our players, because you can deceive. It's an act of deception, making people think you're going to do something else that you really want to do. And then a threat to reject. And I talked a lot about this with some of you may know Zach Bovair. He's an assistant coach at Army. He runs pickandpop.net, good friend of mine. The threat to reject is really important because when you're in a ball screen, sometimes the reject is the way you want to go. And that means the opportunity to attack before the defense gets set, so a lot of the continuous ball screen actions where they reverse the ball from the top to the wing and it's now an open side, that reject drive baseline side, you may not even need to get to the ball screen. You might be able to drive and get a layup. Tyrell Terry from Stanford in their ball screen motion this year, I highly advise people watching his film from this year, because his decision-making in ball screens was the biggest reason for Stanford's turnaround. I mean, he's a brilliant player. And his ability to reject ball screens as much as coming off of ball screens was apparent and made them just deadly offensively within their ball screen motion offense. So the threat to reject, you have the ball in your hands, you don't have to use the ball screen no matter what. There's an offense going away, there's an offense rejecting the ball screen to always consider. Hold on a sec here. Oh, here we go. Reading at 3 levels. So ironically enough, if you look at the screen, April 24th, Coach Fraschilla, who works for ESPN now, longtime coach, New Mexico, Manhattan, St. John's, who's I've been lucky to call, I would say, a friend now. He had a great point, and I just screenshotted this image. And by the way, just so we're clear, if anyone's watching, do not screenshot me. I hate the Zoom call screenshot of the speaker with his eyes. Look, so we're clear. If my eyes, I do not want to see any pictures of me online. Anyway.
Okay. Noted.
Ariel, you've done it 4 times already and put it on Instagram, I'm sure. Okay, coaches. So this is great from Fran. He's great. Teach your guards to read pick and roll coverage at 3 levels. 3 levels, okay? The first level is versus your own man, okay? And that should never be a factor, according to Fran, right? Your own man's your first level. Second level is the screener's man, okay? So whatever the screener's defender is doing, whether that's hard hedge, flat hedge, drop coverage, down coverage, that's the second level. Okay. And the third level is the help and the weak side defense. Okay. So that kind of summarizes everything about ball screen decision making right now. The first level is your own defender. How's he guarding you? Which way is he sending you? Okay. That'll tell you what to do. Second level is the screener's man. Is he jumping out for a hard edge? Is it a flat edge? Is it a drop? Is it a down? You have to know all those things. And the third level is help and weak side defense. Okay, help and weak side defense. Where are those other pieces of the chessboard at that moment in time? Okay, who's tagging? Who's sneaking in too much on the wrong side of the court that provides an opportunity to throw a pass? Okay, and like Fran said, great guards find the open man against the level 3 coverage. And the level 3 coverage essentially tells you where the ball should go at the end of the day. Zach, a friend of mine, like I said, defense is always wrong. I love that idea. I think the defense is always wrong because you have the ball in their hands and they're sending you one way. That means they want you to go in the direction that they want you to go into. Okay. But that doesn't mean you can't get good offense as a result of them doing what they want to do. There's opportunities to do that. Now, so how do you develop that mindset, though? How do you develop a mindset to make great decisions, to understand what the defenses want you to do, but still accomplishing what your goals are offensively? And I think it starts in practice, and today we're not going to focus on practice drills per se in terms of ball screens and decision-making, but you have to understand every single day it has to be a part of your identity, especially if you're trying to develop high IQ decision-making point guards, right? Or high IQ decision-making off-ball guards. You have to practice it every day, because if you don't practice it every day, the decisions in the game are just much harder, even if they're simpler. Okay, so that's why practice comes into everything you do. If you're going to commit to a ball screen offense, it's an every single day thing. Drills, 5-on-0, 5-on-5, every single day. 3-on-3, 4-on-4, even 2-on-2. If you're just trying to work on your pocket passing. One thing we did at USC every single day was ball screen practice with 3 or 4 guys as part of our buildup. Learning to make the right reads, having defense out there so it shows you who the ball should go to. That's important, and you have to commit to that every single day, because when you're talking IQ and you're talking decision making, it doesn't happen overnight. It's like anything in life. You have to study, you have to learn, you have to grow. You have to understand the time and the effort necessary that goes into developing a high IQ player. Now, some kids are naturals and God made them that way. And then other kids, they have to develop it. And so you have to understand that as part of their development, that means you have to bring it every single day. You have to expand their minds every single day, help them broaden their horizons in their decision making. So every single day, drilling, live, whatever it is, you have to do it every single day and develop it. And that's, constant repetition, facing different coverages, those type of things, they strengthen your on-court IQ, your confidence, and your decision making. There's a moment with your players, and all you guys out there know that when you watch them over a period of, several years, you see confidence growing, you see improvement occurring. And that's the best part of coaching. I mean, when you see guys grow, and in college, we have to worry about off the court as much as on the court in terms of growth. But when you see that, it's inspiring. It makes coming to work every day fun. And you see young men just puff their chest a little more and just develop a sense of self, a stronger sense of self and confidence. Those things are really important. And when that happens from a ball handler and a pick and roll perspective, that helps them just being more confident with whatever's thrown at them. And Jordan obviously got to that point for us, and he's done it in the NBA now. So we talked about rejecting. Just respect the reject. If they have to respect the reject, you will always have more options. So that means is anytime you're playing, if they have to worry about you not using the screen as much as using the screen, that means you're going to get so much more. Okay. And a good idea is don't think of it as setting your man up to go off of a ball screen. Think about it as beating your man one-on-one away from the screen. Okay. Because if you get cut off, that means you can come back off with that ball screen. Okay, so everyone talks about setting their man up, and it's not as easy, because if you're just kind of lollygagging one way and come back, you're not creating space or separation. You're not getting your defense on the heels. And then that means it's harder for you to get space off that ball screen to make something happen. So don't think of coming off a ball screen and rejecting a ball screen specifically as setting your guy up. Think of it as beating your man one-on-one. Because if I beat my man one-on-one, I don't even have to use the ball screen. I'm at the rim, and then I'm looking for that opposite corner pass. I'm looking for the roll guy at the rim. So think of it as just, beating your man one-on-one if it's a situation where you're rejecting. And you're always in a constant mental state of leveraging the coverage to your favor. Okay, and that comes with time and practice and preparation and individual growth. But you want to be in a situation where, whatever they're doing, we've got an answer for, no matter what. So playbook variety. So when you talk pick and roll offense, so if you have an elite point guard, your playbook doesn't have to be that diverse, right? It's one of those things where if you trust someone with the ball in their hands, you could put them in situations where they make the right reads time and time and time again. And, teams with great ball handlers and decision makers, you probably don't need as big of a playbook. Now, when you're developing your playbook, wrinkles, subtle adjustments with your pick and roll sets are really vital, because you want to keep the defense guessing. And they're going to try to do what they're going to want to do. And so if they're able to do it better than you want to be able to still adjust on the fly, still tweak things a little bit as a coach, putting your players in situations to succeed. You want to make sure you're prepared to do that. Sometimes it's probably smarter to just make a subtle adjustment than saying, no, let's just do it better. Sometimes you just have to move one guy somewhere else, and that changes everything and opens up the floor more, depending on what the defense is doing. You really want to create a sense of insecurity with the help side and tagging decisions of opposing teams. So that's really important. Keep the defense insecure, keep them guessing. And when you develop a playbook, one thing about Andy at USC, I felt like we had a great mixture of plays, a great mixture of situations where different people are tagging, but it kind of looks similar to other plays. And so then you're fostering that sense of insecurity in the defense over the course of 40 minutes. And, adjusting those basic sets to their strategies is really important. And that's part of growth over the course of a season, right? You want to kind of have different diverse concepts that are implemented during the year that kind of fit your culture and your style of play still. And like I said, just looking down here, keep defenses guessing, right? So if you have plays with different taggers that look similar to other plays, sometimes that's really special, because then they get confused as a defense. Who should be tagging? Who should be at the nail? All those different concepts in basketball. When young guys, because they're young, right? They're going to be thinking on the court defensively. Am I supposed to be tagging? Wait, I'm supposed to be strong side here, so I stay at home. I'm weak side here. If you keep guys insecure and questioning where they're supposed to be defensively, that's really something that can help you continue to have success from a ball screen sense. So, okay, Jordan McLaughlin, my tribute. No, so Jordan was terrific for us. 1,600 points, 700 assists. One of 3 players in Pac-12 history: Gary Payton, Brevin Knight, and he had 19 assists in a game against Santa Barbara. USC's career leader in minutes, assists, second in assists, third in steals, fourth in points. And so J-Mac's, story is incredible because he was undrafted. He went to Brooklyn's G League team last year, did a great job there. Then he got an Exhibit 10 two-way deal with Minnesota this year. So he spent some time in Des Moines, but due to injuries, they called him up, and he absolutely crushed it. He averaged 7 and 4 this year as a second-year undrafted guard. And he's someone they're going to probably keep for a couple more years now. And he's a self-made man. And, when you talk about Jordan McLaughlin, he was a kid who, as some of you guys are youth coaches, high school coaches, if we can trust you off the court, we can trust you on the court. And the trust and bond that our staff had with Jordan McLaughlin was as strong as any for any player we've ever coached. Elite student. He graduated USC in 3 years, and then he worked on his master's in that 4th year. Was always early to practice. Was always the first one in film. You know, when he would get to film early, he and I would start watching NBA clips. You know, we'd watch NBA film, and then that started happening early in the season, his junior year. And the next thing you know, him and Chimezie Metu were always the first two in film, always, no questions asked. But they would come in early, and shockingly, by the way, both of them are in the NBA now, but they would come in early and we'd start watching NBA film. And then suddenly 3, 4, 5, 6, next thing you know, 5 to 10 minutes before film is supposed to start, our whole team's in there and we're watching NBA stuff. And that was good for developing our culture, our bond, but also kind of getting these guys locked into watching film and developing and seeing how the best do it, which is the NBA level. So J-Mac was just an ideal student, athlete, mentor to so many. And now everyone from his high school at Awanda, so proud of him and one of the best to ever do it. And then he had 3 assists in every game for 2 years, at least, I mean, 16, 17, 17, 18. I mean, that's an incredible stat when you think about it. I mean, because that just shows you that he is serving the ball to his teammates time and time and time again. And that's why, to me, he's the guy. He's the one where we look at decision-making and IQ and feel and taking care of your teammates and building his teammates' confidence, because when you serve your teammates up and they're open, the ball's more likely to go in. Everyone likes open shots or dunks more. And J-Mac was one of those guys who kept guys happy. And we always tell point guards, you got to keep your guys happy. That's the way to create a good offensive system, good culture overall, because the point guard touches the ball the most. So if you're being generous with the ball, that means you're more likely having less bickering on your bench, in your locker room. You're taking care of guys. Guys can't say you're playing selfish. So that's really important for a point guard to do that. But 72 games of at least 3 assists is an incredible stat. So we're going to do some film study now. The one thing about USC and Andy's system is Andy watches a ton of NBA himself. So we did a lot of things that we're going to kind of look at the dichotomy of our offense at USC, but then also Jordan's offense under Coach Saunders for the Minnesota Timberwolves this year, because there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of similarities, and there's a lot of things that kind of looked familiar. And I feel like Jordan's development at USC really helped him as he got into first the G League with Long Island, and then this past year in Des Moines, but then now with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I'm going to stop the share here for a second.
All right.
Good, Ariel?
Good. Everything good?
This? We good?
We're good. We're good.
All right, nice. Okay, so you come off a ball screen. In NBA, they call it shake action. A lot of people call it lift action. It's just basically coming off a ball screen. Excuse me, I always forget the sound. Hold on. Coming off a ball screen, the strong side defender's guy who tags, and you throw it back to his man. So if you see right here, can you see my clicker here?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I think that's Paul George there. He's the tagger here. Okay, he's tagging Karl Anthony Towns diving. So that's right there. All-star player. He's the tag. The shake or the lift action is when Paul George's defender lifts from the corner to the high wing as high as possible here for that throwback action for the 3. Okay, so when we're talking today, tagger, shake action, lift action, you throw it back for the shot. Okay, so anytime you're in a ball screen situation, J-Mac comes off, good screen by Karl Anthony Towns. He rolls to the rim. You see this now strong side. They kind of exchange to keep the defense moving. But you make Paul George tag, you throw it back to your guy, that's a shot. That's the shake action. So that's Josh Okogie. Come here now. So this was us in college. Big play here, tournament game, playing SMU, 42 seconds left, going 2 for 1. We're down 2. Metu comes, sets the screen. Benny Boatwright, who's an all-time leading three-point shooter before Jonah Matthews passed that record this year. Or Benny was close. He was first, second, or third. Elijah Stewart was in there too. This time, Benny Boatwright's guy does not tag. You see that? And that's the guy from SMU who's with the Celtics now. His name's slipping my mind. I'm sorry. But he's not tagging off Benny. What they're doing is they're tagging now from the strong side, which not a lot of people do. Okay, so because of that, J-Mac, let's run it back. He makes the read off of Elijah Stewart's defender, and Elijah's open. Okay, I think it's Semi Ojale, right? Who's not tagging here. They tagged from the strong side corner, which some teams do. The shake pass right here is not open. Mac pitches it ahead. Okay, and what they try to do is they help strong, and what they want to do is X out with this defender's man right here. But he's a little late. So we don't throw the shake pass, we throw it strong side, and Stewart makes a big three at the end of an NCAA tournament game on that. Okay. So that's just, I wanted to show that's just basic ball screen. Shake, lift action, throwing it ahead to the strong side. Okay. We're going to look at some secondary actions, which I think is, if you're going to be committed to a ball screen system, it's always good to just have something that you can flow into. Okay. And this is just a secondary pick and roll action we loved. You have the trail 4, you have your 5-man ball side. Okay. Metu's getting there. That's the ball side block. We reverse it through Boatwright. Swing. So first action, if you look down here, let me tell you, this isn't really going at the fastest speed, but luckily it still works. He flexes Stewart off. Stewart's going to flex off to the other block. Mac receives the pin down from Boatwright here. Mm-hmm. You just get Jordan the ball back, right? We're just creating motion to get the ball back to your best decision maker. And we go right to a middle ball screen. So this is a good action. And the reason it is because we talk about keeping defense insecure and guessing. In traditional theory, since Stewart is replacing to the top here, you see Elijah Stewart, he's rolling to the top. His guy is telling the weak side corner to tag. That created that split second of confusion. We get to the middle ball screen. Metu rolls hard. The tag is supposed to come from him because this player's guy is replacing and he's one pass away. He's got to stay with Stewart. This low tag guy guarding DeAnthony Melton, he's outside the lane. So that provides an opportunity for McLaughlin to hit Metu on that roll right there. Okay. See it again. Reverse it through your 4. Flex off. Just look. Okay, we look down. It's always good at this moment. Look down at the post. If you have an opportunity there, throw it down and score. Get the ball back to McLaughlin. Middle ball screen. Now watch. They now tag from the roll and replace guy's man. Okay, you see this. DeAnthony Melton's on the block. He is rolling and replacing. They're tagging off of the roll and replace guy, staying at home opposite corner. You got to make the right read. He was the open man. Okay, so we've seen the same play guarded differently, and it's about making good reads. And this little secondary action is just good because it's fluid, there's motion to it, and you put the defense in predicaments where they're insecure. They don't know who to tag off of. Look down at the flex, throw it back. No one's tagging again, and you get it there. Okay, I think I have one more from this set. Ariel, how's the video coming out? Is it good?
It's all right. It's all right. It's a bit slow, but you can understand. You can watch it. It's just perfect. It's a bit slow mo, but you can see the action.
Okay. So it's a 5-out set. So this is something Minnesota. So Ariel, let me ask, just out of curiosity, should I be pausing it or should I just let it flow? You think?
Pause it if you want to highlight something.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right, so this is in Minnesota, Coach Saunders' offense. Now, this isn't the same action. They reverse it, but it's a wider action here. And they basically just pin down for Mac and flip the screen. But a lot of NBA teams do this action now. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're 5 out. We reverse it, we pin down, and we just flip it and go right into it. And ultimately, what you get is the middle ball screen. There's no roll and replace per se, but it's just more spread out. But as you can see, McLaughlin's doing a great job in both systems, making the right decisions, okay? So look at more tagging situations, the secondary action, okay? We go back. Comes off of a dribble handoff, DHO. Matt comes off. Trier's stuck in no man's land. Okay, so as he comes off the ball screen, Lonzo Trier's supposed to tag. Metu cuts to kind of keep DeAndre Ayton occupied. And as you see right now, as the ball handler, if you see 31 on our team, USC's numbers, he's open, okay? Or if you don't see the defender there, you see that because Trier's too much on the top side here. So you create a situation off the dribble handoff into a ball screen where first you try to take the tagger out of the play. See it again here. Try to keep him moving. And if he does able to tag here, they give him a little one here, but we just throw it back and you just throw the ball into the post or play off of it and you still get the action late. Okay. So that's kind of one of those things. You dribble off, you throw it back, you look to the post. It's not there. You attack the baseline, and it's basically like a ball screen because you encourage the post defender's man to cut you off. He cuts him off, and it's just a short little pocket pass now that Mac finds. And that's without using the ball screen there in the same action. And I told Ariel, I'll make sure you guys get all this video, through him. We'll figure a way to get you guys the video once this is done. So you see it again. The DHO makes a guy late, gives Jordan space here. Okay. So he has to tag a little bit. So you throw it back. You have time for a good shooting point guard to just take his time and get a shot off. Okay. We'll look at it one more time here. This is a different angle. Reject action. So when you're doing the DHO action too, you got to know, we talked about the threat to reject. They're thinking you're going to hand it off. So the defenders will try to zone up, and if they don't come together, if they try to zone up a DHO and they do not come together, you have to turn the corner. You have to turn the corner one or two times because one, it's there, so it's the right read. But two, then you make it harder for them to zone up anytime you DHO. So coming off here, you turn the corner and McLaughlin can get to the rim. So we did DHO ball screen, and now we fake the DHO and we try to turn the corner, which a lot of people in the NBA do in their pistol actions. You just try to turn the corner. So then you look at Minnesota and how they do things. Here's a little DHO pitch. You play off of it, and you find the open man. Okay. This time the DHOs is with their 4. Boom. Now they go 2. Ball screen. McLaughlin comes off. Shake action. This one, there's a lot more space in the NBA, as you can see. The shake guy here who I'm highlighting, he doesn't even lift that much up, but his defender is sucked in enough. He's got a foot in the paint there, you see. Where you throw it back, that shot has to go up. And he's open. So DHO into ball screens. Okay, staggered step up. We're going to see this in the NBA a lot too, which they run in Minnesota. You stagger away. Again, keeping the defense chasing you as you go into these ball screens. It's really important. You get guys uncomfortable. You get guys insecure about who's supposed to tag. Try to chip them, and you go right into the middle ball screen. Okay, let's see that again. Your traditional staggered away. Stewart, sometimes you slip this little guard-to-guard screen. Create insecurity, create confusion, create miscommunication. This time we make contact. That's fine. They switch it. All good. You're in a ball screen situation where they're worried about the roll man. You throw it to that opposite corner. Okay, so then in Minnesota, something they run a ton of. Threat to reject, right? So we see here, it comes off. They do passing, they do the pitch and throw it back action, the pitch action. Okay. This is why you have to reject. So he doesn't come off the first one. He turns it down right away and just gets downhill. You don't even get to the ball screen. You don't get to the ball screen. You just take it. You take what the defense gives you. Those are the high IQ reads and why you have to be a threat to reject. Same thing, just they slow it down a little and they play off of it, okay? It's the same action, but this time they just kind of throw it first. They act like they're going to shoot it, which Lehman will shoot that. He throws it back, create the defense moving, and you play from there. A little slow developing, still get to it. Now you see the twist action. Same action, you twist the screen. A lot of teams have started doing this more. So you don't just take the regular ball screen now. When you twist it, you set them up one way, and the screener switches his hips. Okay, you switch his hips, you get a different angle. Twist, just like that, and you go downhill and play off of the two side now. And you see Russell, who is a point guard but playing off the ball here, gets a catch and shoot three. So using that twist action is another way to create insecurity. Boom, twist. Fultz jumps to the ball, changes his hips, screener changes his angle, and now we're downhill. Look at one more here. Okay, here's a good segment of things. You're creating motion, make them chase you, and then you get to your middle or side ball screen actions. So this one is a little slow developing, but this is what we call the Iverson. When you loop a guard or sometimes a forward here over the top, set the back screen play. It's not there. We just go into roll and replace now. Your four can shoot. He's big. He can pass. Boom. Same thing. Roll and replace action out of a funky set. Ojale doesn't know if he should hold the tag or not. The guy at the top of the key is a great shooter. This is the longest tag situation for a weak side corner. We get a dunk. Okay, Iverson again. This time we get to a side ball screen. Get it out of your point guard's hands. Get it back to him. Stack it up. Okay, so we're in a stack. The five-man is the top screen. He's going to roll. The low guy, his man is supposed to tag. Now watch how this play develops. Look at it again. They don't tag at all. Now it's downhill on a big, man at the rim. Okay, so that Iverson cut to a high stack. See it again. DHO, Iverson, get to that stack. Your shooter's low, ball screen. They hold the tag, that's a three. You throw it to the shake. Right there. Okay. This is all decision making within an offense. And this is my favorite. This is in the step up. So a lot of step up screens the last 10 years have been utilized at much higher rate in NBA and college. It's basically for us, you Iverson the combo or the two out of the play. You just set a small little step up. And what you want to do is have a diagonal roll and replace. Let's look at it again. So Iverson him out. Your best shooter's on the opposite elbow. Your five-man's at the near side elbow. Go diagonal. It's hard to figure out who's supposed to tag because if you're able to turn the corner, which is what a step-up wants you to do, you want your quickest ball handler in the step-up, especially if you set it closer to the middle of the court, you have more space to turn the corner. And you see here, I'll pause it. Weak side corners man is all the way in. We are replacing diagonally with our best shooting forward. And he's worried, Trier is worried about not just tagging Metu at the rim here. He's also worried about stopping the baseline drive because your point guard has turned the corner on a slower player. So that's how it kind of evolved in that segment there. Little step up, diagonal roll and replace. If you can turn the corner, you have just plenty of options. They tag. This time you throw it back to the shooter. And so sometimes if you don't have a shooting big, it's the same play, right? It's the same play, except you're not going to have a shooting big. So what you can do is dive the opposite big. So just get out, So right now USC has Metu, Rakocevic. Metu shoots threes now, but in college he was a rim runner, dunker, mid-range jump shooter. He wasn't like making threes. So he's at the 5 here. He's diving. And instead of rolling Rakocevic here on the opposite block, he kind of just hovers in the open area. Okay, so you still have weak side. Matthews should probably be in this deep corner because when you have a baseline drive, you always want to have someone in the deep corner because that's the pass out. He's not where he's really supposed to be, but what we have with the second big is Rakocevic settles in between the two help side defenders in this open area, and you still get points from the same action. You just don't have the shooting big. So let's look at one more here. This is a good action because it creates motion. Any motion into your ball screen stuff is great. Create confusion, create miscommunication. Same type of concept here. Okay, so Mac goes weak. We reverse it through the 4. A little pin down, DHO, middle ball screen. Who's supposed to tag? In theory, this weak side corner. Shooter protected, shooter protected, shooter protected. So I didn't mention it earlier, but the more shooting you have around a rim running big and a good point guard, the better off you're going to be. Because look at this spacing. And Baylor was terrific this year. This was a great defensive team. You don't want to tag off of, first of all, corner. This is ironically enough, I didn't notice that until now. The 3 perimeter guys for USC are the 3 all-time leading 3-point shooters. So that's really interesting. Anyway, you don't want to help off them. You get it at the rim. We call that Orlando. We stole that from the Magic. Let's see if there's one more. Okay. Go weak. Give a little pin down to your point. DHO, middle ball screen. Who's supposed to tag? A lot of space. Let's do one more. Wide sprint action. Yo. What's up?
I'll steal that Orlando action.
I thought you already stole it. You lied to me. This is so simple. I should have showed this earlier, but this is just a wide action we put in. You're 4 round 1. You swing it to the second guard spot, and that opposite corner over here, you just sprint through to the other corner, and you just create an open side action. And this basically goes to the threat to reject concept, right? It's like if I clear out that side, look how much space a good playmaker has now on this side of the court before even using the screen, right? So you spread out the defense with shooting, you reverse it, you clear it out, and you try to go open side, and you still get it. And that's pretty good defense by Washington, honestly. You see it again, it develops a little differently. We're kind of slow to get into it. Boom, open side. There's the reject. Okay, so we're not just setting our guy up. I'm trying to score on you one-on-one. Okay, that's the reject right there. I might have something. Oh, you cut me off? Good. But now look at that. I'm chasing a good point guard now. As a defender, that's a nightmare. I have to chase him, and I still reject, and I still get a layup. Okay, so it's really important when you're teaching ball screen stuff. You got to teach it both ways because in the course of a game, these scenarios happen. We don't even use it, and you still score, and there's still no tag. So I'm gonna skip ahead to a couple things. One thing I wanted to show was a couple of NBA actions here from the T-Wolves. Wedge action, which a lot of people love. Chip for the big. Pop back, get you a middle ball screen. Another reject. You're not coming off. That's Zion. They switched Zion on to McLaughlin. Early in his career, he doesn't even use it. He just gets downhill. And just know, number 5, Beasley here, what we would tell him is anytime there's an alley drive, a lane line drive, and you're the same side on a single, you got to slide to the corner to create space. Keep this defender out of the play. So if you see it happening, you got to start running. Because if he pinches in, you want to be able to get an open 3. And then, we see this. This isn't anything fancy. This is just a double drag. with the NBA, it's so much about creating switches here. They switch across. You're the second one with Ingram and Drew Holiday, and then you just play off of it. You know, the spacing in college is so different than the NBA, though. You know, I'm not sure how many of you guys know that, but the NBA, the defenses are discouraged from actually being in the paint. And so are offensive players, too. So it's just kind of one of those things. In the NBA, there's a lot more space, and there's obviously more switching in the NBA. And then it creates one-on-one opportunities for quicker guys. So just watching that, I hope you guys enjoyed. I mean, we just try to look at ball screen coverages, making the right reads, and then creatively from your system, make situations where you make the defense insecure, make them wonder who's supposed to tag, make them wonder where the help is supposed to come from. Keep people guessing, it makes your offense flow much smoothly.
Coach Olsen Rosella. Hi, Coach Martin. How do you attack a wing ball screen if they take away the screen and force baseline or the ice? How do you attack it?
So icing is very common now, and it's one of those things where it's really depending on your personnel. In an ideal world, you take the ice, you take them down, and you want to throw a short pocket pass to the big. Now, sometimes you can't get to the rim for that pocket pass dunk, pocket pass layup. Sometimes you have to short roll it. And what a short roll is as a ball handler, you take the ball down, you try to encourage two to be on you, you throw the pocket pass, and that's going to be to like the mid post area. Okay. And then from there, your big has to be able to make a decisions. Now, what we practice at USC is on that short roll against an ice, catch and examine first. Catch the ball, two hands, look. Now, you can't take your whole time, though, but you have to be able to catch, look around, and decide. Sometimes it's catch, throw it to the opposite corner because his guy is tagging. A lot of times it's catch, rip, power up, and finish. A lot of times it's catch, 2 feet, look for the skip, look opposite. So take the ice, throw the pocket pass, and it's usually going to be a short roll, and then your big has to make a play. And if you're not comfortable with your big making the play, well, you're in trouble. No, but the point is, if you're not comfortable with him making a play, well, you have to keep it simple for him. It's like, we'll throw the short roll and just get off of it, throw it to the other side of the court. Now, if you know they're gonna ice, one thing I like to do, I like to bait people into different scenarios where they're uncomfortable. So, for example, if you know they're going to ice, you can take a big from the opposite side of the court, okay? Sprint him like that open side action we saw, because then you have more space for your big to just operate, and so he's less nervous when he has the ball if he's one of those nervous type of big men with the ball not under the basket. So go open side, sprint him from the opposite block over, and as he's sprinting up, you can just reject that and drive. Right? You can, as the big is, because the big is trying to get positionally in the right place as the screener's defender, and your guy is sending him down, you might have opportunity to drive, and then it's a quicker little action without even getting them set in their ice. Can you get the defense scrambling before they can even get to their ice? And that's where I think we've had a lot of success in my history coaching, is like, let's try to beat them to their ice. And then also going from wing to top and getting into a ball screen there. Bait them into setting up for the ice, pitch it ahead, and then just flip the screener to the middle ball screen and get them chasing. That's one thing I like to do.
Excellent. How much time do you drill in practice on offense? How much, if it's a 2-hour, 3-hour practice, how much time is it for the offense?
At USC, it was probably closer to 70% offense in terms of drills, 5-on-0, and then live play. If you want to, listen, we don't have all the practice time in the world. It comes down to what's going to bother you most as a coach. I mean, that's what it is. Like, are you going to be bothered most by bad ball screen coverage and you just want to drill it like crazy? Then you're probably a defensive guy. If you think that you can outscore teams and that's how you want to play, you got to focus on offense. Now, there is a balance, obviously. Georgetown, we had a great balance. Now we played the Princeton style, but we still scored the ball a lot and we played great defense. So I think, for me, it just comes down to how do you want to play? How good do you think that you can be great as a great offensive team, or do you think you could be great as a great defensive team? What's your talent level? Now it changes yearly, but I think if you have a good offensive team now and you have shooting, you're just going to wear people down because you could play okay defense and still win games. That's what I've learned. If you're good enough defensively and you have a good offensive system where your guys have great synergy, they're in sync, they're moving the ball. I mean, those are the teams that are really make you scared to guard.
Here's a question. As a point guard, how do you balance looking for a shot off the ball screen to be a threat and looking to pass by reading the weak side tag or defense? How do you teach to your point guard on that decision making?
Yeah, and that's honestly, you want guys to write. You want guys to make the right decisions. Okay, so if you can get downhill in a ball screen as a point guard and you can get to the rim, you got to go. Or you can get to a good floater. That's a good shot. You're deep in the paint. Now, but here's the problem. Is your point guard a bad layup maker? Is he a bad floater maker? Does he have no pull-up game? You have to find that balance. I think initially if you encourage the right read every time, that's how you start to develop. So, for example, Jordan was a scoring point guard out of high school. If he got down to the downhill, he shot it. Okay. He developed the pace in the field over time. He probably shot the ball too much as a freshman, but he was a threat to score. So if you're not a threat to score, there's going to be no one to throw the ball to anyway. So it's a buildup of sorts. I think you have to mentally prepare your guys for different scenarios, and you may have to be okay with certain results sometimes that you don't want. Like if your point guard's not a great finisher, but my goodness, he's at the rim, you don't want him to throw the ball to an unopened man. He's got to shoot it because that's the best shot in that situation. You want to get the best shot in any given situation. And I think it's really important that you just teach that. If the big is hard hedging and you can't get downhill and they're tagging hard, you got to get off the rock. You got to get off of it. If you come off and the big is slow-footed and you see an alley to drive to kick or to drive and finish, you got to take that because that's what the defense is giving you.
Excellent. Here's another question, Coach. Having experience with the Princeton offense, with Georgetown, Princeton, has the offense evolved from Pete Carril to how is it run now? So I know it's not related, but since you mentioned about Princeton, about your experience with Georgetown and Princeton. So
maybe if Ariel invites me, we'll do a little Princeton segment one time because I studied. Honestly, if any of you are watching American colleges, Richmond runs the Princeton offense beautifully now, and it's a high scoring offense. I think initially the Princeton offense was a motion offensive concept that, tried to equalize the disparity in talent at the time between Princeton and other teams, because there were good players at Princeton, but, they played it at a slower pace, but it was fast cutting. It was good movement. They were shooting. But now, if you watch Richmond, it's high octane. The Sacramento Kings with Weber was high octane, fast, spacing, cutting. Georgetown, we had a great team. It's funny at Princeton, my 2 years there, we had it was crazy. We didn't have, our second year, we didn't have like a true point guard. We played with two combos who shot the ball lights out. We played with a shooting 5-man, and we played with two forwards who did not shoot threes. But we ran Princeton to get those forwards post options because they were elite post forwards. And so it was a Princeton offense, but we just, we catered to the talent. And so our shooters were good, and we had good forwards who could really post up and were unguardable one-on-one. So we protected them with shooting. If you watch Richmond now, it's Princeton, yes, Princeton offensive concepts, but it's things that you see with the Warriors now, playing out of the elbow, 5 out, ball screens. I studied Richmond and Chris Mooney's offense a couple weeks ago. My friend and I were watching him together, and that's the thing. It's Princeton in name only, but it's a lot of concepts that are used in the NBA now, and you still get to ball screens, and You still play out of the elbow like they do in the NBA. So it's great stuff. I would highly recommend watching Richmond. I mean,
So it's Richmond University,
yep. And
yeah,
what's fun is Georgia Tech under Josh
Georgia
Pastner.
Tech. Okay.
I don't know. I think Tom Crean ran some at Georgia. His assistant Joe Scott just took the job at Air Force, and he's the former Air Force and Princeton head coach.
All right.
But to me, Richmond was beautiful this year. I mean, it was really fun for me because I've been doing so much ball screen stuff the last couple of years. But coming to San Diego, where he runs some Princeton, but then watching Richmond a lot this year too. It's fun stuff, and I would love to bring some film if you guys want it, and I'll watch some of that sometime too. So because I really had a great experience being in Georgia.
The champion team here of college, Ateneo University, runs the Princeton with Coach Tab Baldwin.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
No, it's fun.
So,
Fun stuff.
yeah. We got a lot of our YouTube viewers that are interested also with the Princeton. So maybe there's part 2. Teddy has a question for you. Teddy?
Late night.
Coach, I don't know if it's probably be the last question.
Okay.
With your time in Georgetown and all your other stops in basketball, what are the 5 qualities that a basketball coach should possess in order to be successful?
5 qualities to be successful. Well, I think the first most important thing is you have to have an understanding, a synergy with your team. You have to have empathy for the young men or young women you coach. I think having an understanding and a relationship with young people is the most important thing. That's the most important quality. You have to identify with them. This generation is different than our generation and prior generations, and how they operate and how they take constructive criticism and how they take coaching. They're different. We have to embrace it. We can't fight it. Okay, so developing a bond or a synergy with your guys, with your girls, is vital nowadays. That's number 1. I think too, an internal eagerness to learn and to grow. The game changes. Your talent changes year to year. How are you growing? How are you continuing to learn in the face of a changing game of basketball? We've seen it with the Warriors. Everyone talks about Golden State and how they played and how they play small ball. And that's going to just continue more where the center position isn't as valued as it was in the 80s and 90s. And obviously watching the Michael Jordan documentary now shows that, right? The different style of basketball, whether it's physicality and the size being so different in the future. So are you constantly eager to learn and grow? I think is important. 3, are you willing to adjust? Are you willing to change? I mean, I think we get caught up too much in doing what we've done for years. Can you make adjustments? Can you show an eagerness and a willingness to change year to year? I think that's really important. 4, self-confidence in making tough decisions in times of urgency or exigency. I think that's important. You have to have a belief in what you're doing. You have to, but it kind of ties into what I just said. You have to have a belief in yourself and a confidence in yourself to change also, but you have to have that self-confidence that you're the leader of men. And when times are toughest, there's going to be 10 to 13 to 15, and then you include your staff and trainers, 20 people looking at you, so you have to have confidence knowing that whatever you did to get to this point, someone believed in you to be a head coach. So that confidence is really important, especially in times where guys may be unsure of themselves. You guys know, I mean, like you have guys whose confidence fluctuates, when guys' confidence fluctuates, you have to be there for them, and you have to be confident in yourself first to instill confidence in others. And then probably finally, I think it's really important that coaches don't hold preconceived notions about their guys against them, especially over a sustained period of time. So what I mean by that is, like, if a guy did something wrong early in his career or early in his season, you can't hold that against him over the course of an entire season or an entire career. In college, we have guys for 4 years. And a lot of times I feel like coaches, like if they don't believe, I don't know, that they remember something bad you did from so long ago, and you're just sitting there and you're like, well, that was a while ago. People change, things change. How can we encourage them to get better? Now, some guys don't develop. I understand that. But I also think that as coaches, you can't hold, I'm not going to call it a grudge. I would call it a preconceived notion about who someone is because of something they did earlier in their career, earlier in the season. You have to believe that they're going to change, because if you don't believe that they're going to change, that means you don't have a player development program mentally and then obviously physically. So I think that preconceived notion, we got to get over our prejudices against players for whatever mistakes or shortcomings they have, because sometimes it's detrimental to a program to think that someone to hold something. It's detrimental to a program to hold something against someone that isn't true all the time. So
have a clean slate.
Yeah, and listen, if a kid is a pain, like no, not everyone deserves a clean slate. Like if you're causing trouble, and like obviously if you're missing layups for 3 years and you're heading into year 4, like we just have to adjust things so we're not putting you in those situations anymore. But at the same time, like if it's close between 2 players and the deciding factor is always, well, this kid did something 5 weeks ago, 5 months ago, and I just don't trust him because I don't believe in that, then that's can be detrimental. Because honestly, you guys know, like you never, especially in college basketball now, there's a small percentage of guys who show up every night and bring it. I mean, dude, sometimes you don't even know who's gonna, like, which guy's got something on his mind. Is it schoolwork? Is it a family death? Does he not care about basketball as much as you do? You know, so like it's so fluid. So you can't, if it's close in terms of personnel, like you just can't write off certain guys for some preconceived notion for something that has stuck in your mind for a long period of time.
Thanks, Coach.
Great food for thought. Great. All right. So, Coach, again, we'd like to thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge. And I know it's a different situation now that we're doing, but we're maximizing every bit of time we have. And for sure, we got attendees staying up for your talk and really learned a lot. I also been taking notes, and of course, they can have the whole session on YouTube. It will be on our YouTube channel. And Teddy, any parting words?
Coach, thanks for sharing your time and your expertise with us. I learned a great deal.
I'd like to make a shout out to Coach Olsen Rosella in Nash Rosella.
My guy.
I don't want to spill the beans yet, but you know, they have some connection with Coach Martin, and for sure, whoever that is will be a well trained or well coached individual coming soon.
No doubt. Or he pretended to listen well for 4 years, maybe.
Yes. So email us for those attendees that wants the videos. So they want also your contact information, Coach.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me share screen. I pulled it up. It's up.
All right.
It's all right here. Can you guys see?
There you go. So follow Coach Martin on his Twitter. He's got his WhatsApp, he's got his email, and you know you can have a copy of the presentation tonight. Yeah. And also I know Coach Benji has been wanting about Princeton, so you can ask Coach Martin about the Princeton offense also.
I can send you guys whatever you guys need film wise, because I've studied the Princeton stuff recently just for out of leisure. So I'm just excited I did the late night. This is like a late night talk show. People are watching basketball, drinking some cocktails, I'm sure, having some fun.
Well, you know, it's time well spent. Coach.
I'm so really thankful for everyone for coming out, and Coach Ariel and Tim. Thank you guys so much.
And hopefully we can have you here in Manila if when all of this is over. I'm sure Coach Nas and Coach Olsen will extend welcoming committee from the school, from the Green and Gold School.
Send the private jet. Send the private jet.
Thank you so much.
Right,
And for everyone, we still got the session for tomorrow. Don't forget, we'll start again at 6. The links will be at our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep this webinar series on Zoom and on YouTube Live. Okay, we have an international batch tomorrow, or international lineup. Uh, well, one from Argentina, Coach Herman Mandole. He's an assistant coach with the Japan national team, and it'll be interesting how they run also the pick and roll offense and how Japan has improved tremendously from the first part of the FIBA qualifiers to championship qualifiers to having an NBA player now. We'll have from Mexico, all the way from Mexico, Giovanni Rivera, who's from a scout to the GM, from a coach now a GM. So he'll have his experiences about aggressive transition offense and scouting and advanced stats. He's great with videos, and he's the guy also that you can consult, especially for PBA coaches on players that plays in the in the Latin American leagues. And last but not least, he's a guy that coach Luka Doncic when he was an assistant of Igor Kokoshkov. Igor can't join us, but he's more than able. He's the head coach that succeeded Coach Igor Kokoshkov with the Slovenian national team's name is Radovan Trifonovic. He's also a former player, and I met him when I was visiting USC, so and the UCLA. So he's gonna talk about developing the European game. So thank you so much again for everyone. Again, thank you, Coach Martin, Teddy, and
Yes,
good
Coach.
luck, everyone. Again, don't forget to help our frontliners, our Blackwater's got this program for the frontliners. Make sure to visit the Blackwater's social media for how you can help our modern day heroes. So thank you very much again, and good night to everyone, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.